good evening. I'm Melisa Idris and you're watching The Future is Female, the show where we find the extraordinary in every woman. Joining me today on the show, I have Anita Yusof, who is the first Muslim woman to ride a motorcycle solo around the world. Welcome to the show, Anita.
Thank you very much,
It's
Melisa.
such a pleasure to have you here. Now, your
you.
story I find incredibly inspiring, because I always assumed that, someone who wants to attempt to ride solo around the world comes from a background of riding, comes from perhaps, learns this from family members, brothers, parents, fathers perhaps. But your story is different. You just learned how to ride a bike in your adulthood, and 3 years after learning to ride a bike, said, I'm going to try around the world. So why don't you start there? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, first and foremost?
Well, in 2010, if I'm not mistaken, I had a very serious relationship conflict. And at that time, I thought that my life seemed to be turning upside down. And I'm thinking, okay, before I go crazy, let's do something crazy first. But I do not know what kind of crazy thing that I want to do. But I know for sure one thing, I must find a new hobby so that I can focus on this new hobby and not thinking about my problem, my marriage problem at that time. So happened that I read a blog of this cyclist. He cycled to Kyrgyzstan, and being a traveler myself, but at that time I traveled by backpacking. So I contacted this cyclist and I asked him how to get to these beautiful places, because Kyrgyzstan is an underdeveloped country.
Yeah, it's quite remote.
It's very remote and it's mountainous. And this cyclist, his response to me was, if I want to go and visit this country and go to the place which he went to, I must have my own transport. And being a backpacker at that time, I relied on public transport. And he told me that the public transport in Kyrgyzstan is not vast because it's an underdeveloped country. You can only get public transport in cities. So the place where he went to is very remote. So in order for me to get there, I must have my own transport. Either I must hire a car and driver, or I cycle like him. I told him maybe I can try hire a car and driver, and then he told me that it's going to be very costly, because when when the demands are more than what they can offer, so it's very, very costly. And then I tried to get some friends to join me, but no one wants to go because it's Kyrgyzstan.
Many people haven't heard of the place.
Yeah, and people didn't even know the location of the country. So I couldn't find anyone to come along. And then I told this cyclist, I said, I cannot get anyone and it's too pricey. And then he asked me, maybe I can cycle. I told him that, okay, cycle is going to take forever to reach, and I don't want to quit my job just because I want to go to Kyrgyzstan. And then the cyclist gave me the idea of riding a motorbike. So he was the one to be blamed for making me who I am now.
Before this, you had never ridden a bike before?
Yeah, I mean, during my teenage years, I tried to ride my late father's motorbike, and I ended up in a drain.
Okay.
And after that, I got traumatized and I didn't touch the motorbike anymore until I'm facing this serious relationship conflict. And then I said, okay, never mind. I will try this. And yes, after that, I get very addicted into riding. And what I have in mind at that time is I want to ride every time whenever I've got free time.
So what is it about riding that is addictive to you?
When you ride, you cannot think about any other things. Especially when you are new into riding, you really need to focus. You must understand that the motorbike only got 2 wheels. If you lose focus,
and then something can go wrong.
Yes, exactly, and you can drop the bike and you can injure yourself. So when you are riding, then your mind must be on the road at all times. So when I'm riding, I stop thinking about my problem.
Oh, wow.
So it's a very good therapy, actually.
Okay, so you learned how to ride. Now, I know nothing about bikes, right? So I'm assuming, and I'm using your example here to learn. So I'm assuming it's a big bike. So you had to learn how to ride it first, but before long, it was 3 years after you learned how to ride a bike that you said, I'm going to do this global dream ride around the world.
Yeah.
So did you have to train for it?
Yes, of course. Okay, I must correct you first, because the bike which I've ridden last time during the early time, it was a smaller bike. It is a 150cc motorbike, but because of the additional accessories such as top box and panniers, it might look big, but actually it is a small cc motorbike.
Oh, so because of the boxes by the side and the back, it just looks like it's a big bike.
Yeah, but that was way back in 2012 when I started learning how to ride. But now I own a big bike.
That's very good. All right. Okay. So tell me, Anita, about this journey of yours, the global dream ride.
Yeah. So after my first ride, I did was with my trainer, not the cyclist, it's another guy who rode solo from KL to London. So I asked him if he can be my trainer, and he agreed. So we went for the training ride at that time to 5 countries, and I was very, very newbie at that time. My experience on the motorbike is only 43 days, and we already crossed the border, and I fall for 6 times during that 3 weeks ride. But after coming back safe and sound, of course with some bruises here and there, and then I got the idea of traveling on a motorbike get into me, and what I always have the urge to keep on riding, exploring. Yeah, so I went to other countries. For example, like I've ridden in Indonesia, in Philippines, and then I repeated the places which I've been with my trainer, and then also to Nepal and China. Sometimes I rent a bike over there in that particular country.
Oh, you didn't bring your own bike?
If I can bring my bike, I will bring my own bike. If I can't, then I will rent a bike in that country, and I just explore. So after I think I've gained the experience, I start to dream big. Then the idea of traveling around the world came into my mind. And 3 years after I started learning how to ride a motorbike, then I go for my global dream ride.
Amazing. All right, we're going to come back and continue this conversation with Anita, specifically her experiences during the global dream ride. After this, right here on The Future's Female. Stay with us. Welcome back to The Future's Female. I'm Melisa Idris, and I'm talking to Anita Yusof, who is an adventure rider. She's the first Muslim woman to ride a motorcycle solo around the world. We're going to hear about this global dream ride. So, where could you trace for us the trail that you took?
Okay, so in September 2015, I flew my bike from KL to Seattle, United States, and I started riding from Seattle. First, I go up north to Canada, and then I touch Alaska a little bit. It was so cold for me that I can't bear the cold, the chill. So I have to get back down to somewhere warmer. So I get back down to Canada, to the States. And then the real challenge begin with Mexico. Because Mexico was the first Latin American country for me. And then from Mexico to Guatemala to El Salvador, Honduras, all these countries dangerous countries in terms of, because it is the mafia and the drug cartel route.
Right.
So it's quite scary to ride over there.
So you plotted this journey knowing that it would take you through some dangerous places.
Well, in the beginning, I was quite skeptical and afraid to ride in the Central American countries, particularly from Mexico to Panama. Okay. But then when I seek for advice because I'm a member in some women adventure riders group in Facebook, so when I seek for advice, my idol, her name is Tiffany Coates. So she has ridden many times around the world. So she told me that I must not skip the Central American countries, even though it's dangerous. But these countries are very unique. So she told me that I must write. So in the end, I decided that, okay, I will include these countries in my route.
Well, let's talk about that, because one of the reasons why women feel like they don't want to travel alone, travel solo, even go somewhere urban, is the fear of being safe, right? And you solo on a motorcycle decided to travel through, what could be considered some dangerous territory. Did you feel at any point in time that your personal safety was at stake?
Well, actually, I did feel unsafe in the Central American countries. I don't know, maybe because I am alone, so I have this kind of feelings. But yeah, I did feel unsafe, but nothing bad happened to me.
Okay. How did you keep safe, Anita?
Okay,
what did you do to, practical tips of keeping safe?
Okay, so what I did was, the rule of the thumb, never ride at night. Okay. So I normally will stop riding around 5 and I start to look for accommodation. Or before it gets dark, I will stop and will look for accommodation or where to pitch my tent, because I camp a lot. That's the way to save money.
You camp?
Yeah, and while camping some more. I wild camp a lot.
Wild camp meaning
wild camp means you camp at not the designated campground.
Okay, so anywhere you can pitch a tent.
Yeah. So I must stop before it gets dark and then find my accommodation, and then I tried to not show that I am a woman when I'm on the bike. That is why I didn't wear a ladies riding jacket or anything which can show that I am a woman.
Right.
So that's how I did it. It works for me, because when you are alone on a motorbike, if you show that you are wearing pink, for example, or your motorbike is pink in color, so people will straight away know that, oh, it's a female riding a bike.
It's a solo female rider, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I will do that, and also when I'm walking in the town or in the city, I will try not to show that you are a tourist.
Okay.
So
you try to portray that you are seasoned traveler.
Not traveler also. I will try
local.
to make myself look as a local. So for example, when I'm in India, so I will wear the Punjabi costume. Yeah, I will wear that.
Wow.
And also in Afghanistan, for example, I just returned from Afghanistan. I wear their local attire. Yeah.
You also have to travel light, right? Because everything that you need to carry with you, you have to put on your bike.
Yeah.
How light are we talking about? Like, did you have to
actually
bring clothes, or can you buy souvenirs?
I will minimize my clothing, because being a solo female rider, I have to bring everything on the bike. My bike is my house, so I cannot have many clothing with me, or even for toiletries, all very small and tiny and compact, because I have other more important things to carry with me. For example, tools and the spare parts and all my camping things.
To carry.
Oh yes.
So did at any point did your bike start to break down? Because again, you're pushing the limits of this machine. You're traveling so far. Did your bike break down on you?
Okay. My bike only, maybe it wants to act funny with me twice. Okay. But it is it's not breakdown actually. I cannot start the bike because of some shortage with the wiring. So that happened in Spain. The first time happened in Spain, and I was quite scared at that time, because I was at this petrol station in the middle of nowhere. But I was lucky. At that time, there was this guy. He came with his car, but he also happened to be a biker. So we communicate using Google Translate, and he helped to bring me to the nearest mechanic at his village. So I managed to get help.
That is remarkable, because again, I think so many elements of your story is fascinating to me. First, the language barrier, right? So you're traveling in countries where often in the remote areas they don't speak any English or Bahasa Malaysia.
Oh no way.
So how did you? I mean, you said you use technology, so Google Translate.
When I can, or when I have the SIM card. If I don't have internet, okay, so body language always. We will have to use body language, or if that fails, then I always have my pen and my notebook handy, and I would draw.
Wow.
And I also save some photos, for example, like toilet or camp, or things like or food.
Right.
I save it in my phone, so I will show the photo to these people, or phone, or hospital, the cross,
Okay.
things like this. We have to save it in the phone, so whenever you need it,
It's
you
easy
can
to show,
right? You just show, so people will understand.
I mean, this also is an example that you don't need language. You
No.
can communicate with
Yes.
humans, in person through body language, through some kind of like interpersonal communication. I think that's remarkable. The other thing I want to ask you is about the camping site, wild camping.
Wild camping, yeah.
How do you pick sites? Like, how do you know this is a place that is safe for me to pitch my tent, that I can close my eyes and sleep at night?
Okay, so for this thing, maybe I'm fortunate that I am a sports science lecturer, and one of the area in my field is outdoor education. So I've got some knowledge in this thing. So I know how to pick a suitable place to pitch my tent, which is safe. So normally I will choose a place which is not near to the main road. I will choose somewhere which is far inside. I will find a trail or something like about few hundred meters from the main road. I must make myself invisible to the people, because when passers-by saw you, if you didn't make yourself invisible, people will see you, and when they see you, you don't know whether they are good people or bad people. So make yourself invisible when you are camping, when you are wild camping alone.
Amazing. Yeah. Okay, guys, we're gonna come back, continue this conversation with Anita right here on The Future's Female. Stay tuned. Hello, welcome back to The Future's Female. I'm Melisa Idris, and I'm chatting to adventure rider Anita Yusof. She's telling me all about her solo travel around the world on a motorcycle. Now, this sounds fascinating, but at the heart of it, it has changed your life, right?
Yes.
I want to talk about that, about how this trip, about how traveling solo on the bike has changed your life and what you've learned from it.
I learned a lot. First of all, I learned that, well, actually, I don't really need many things to live, because for 1 year, I've been living on the bike. So I learned how to become a minimalist. Okay, that's the first thing. And then number two, which is very, very important also to other people as well, we always being skeptical. We always think that there are lots of bad people outside our comfort zone. But actually, through my travels, I find out that there are actually many, many kind people in this world, because I met so many strangers on the road who helped me, and not only helped me like giving me, showing me the way or anything, but they also invite me to their home and feed me. When I did my first ride, I was low on fund. So I don't have much money. That is the reason also why I camp. So these people, when I ask for example, if I think I can trust that person, I will ask where it's safe for me to pitch my tent, and they will tell me that it's cold out there. Why don't you come to my house?
Wow.
Yes, I met so many of these kind of people, and I don't even know who they are.
That is such a wonderful story,
Yeah.
because we are often fearful of other people. We
Yes.
think the worst of them, but actually when you do go out, there are good people out
A
there.
lot. Believe
Yeah.
me, there's a lot of good people in this world. Stop thinking that bad people exist outside Malaysia.
But also, I mean, we think they are so different from us, but actually they're just the same. They want the same things.
Exactly.
Right?
And when you are on the bike, like in my case, people tend to they want to know more about you, and because they find it very weird to see a woman riding alone, especially in certain countries. For example, like in Afghanistan, I was surrounded by like 50 people.
Yeah.
And the funny part was there are two kinds of reactions because the first kind they look at me in amazement and the other kind they look at me with disapproval look in their eyes because I was wearing like a rider. And you know, Afghani women all covered.
But you know, and I think that's remarkable as well because you know it's not just that you come home and then you tell your story and we're all learning the story of what women can do. But you're going around the world to very patriarchal societies and saying, well, look what a woman can do.
Not only that, Melisa, actually the objective of my ride is, besides I want to become the first Muslim woman who rode solo around the world, I also want to tell the whole world, I want to correct the negative perception about Islam. And I'm making myself as one good example. So when people saw me, because you know people, especially in the Western countries, they tend to think that Muslims are bad, Muslim discriminates women, and Muslim women cannot go out from the house, not allowed to go to the university. So I'm telling them, if that is so true, how come I'm riding solo on a motorbike going around the world?
That is amazing, and I love that you've also, you know, you're working with Zavigo, which is, I believe, you know, looking to empower women through their travel experiences, you know, empowering them with knowledge, tools, and you know, I guess confidence to travel. So talk to us a little bit about how you have worked with Zavigo as well.
So I received an invitation from Zavigo to give a talk in 2018 last year, and I accepted it happily. Actually, they first invited me in 2017, but I couldn't come at that time. So last year I give a talk, and I don't know how, I think I'm just crapping on the stage, but people found it very inspiring. Yeah, and they like it very much. So I was happy because I managed to inspire people from my story.
Which is wonderful why events like Zavigo X actually allows women to share their stories with each other, and the more we see other women do it, the more it breaks us out of this fear. And I have to say, to be completely honest with you, you know, I also am sometimes fearful of traveling alone because I think, can I do it? Is it going to cost too much? Will I be safe? And those are all, I guess, you know, mental blocks that you have had to overcome yourself.
Yes, exactly.
So tell me, what's next for you, Anita? I mean, you conquered the world. What are you going to be doing next?
Okay, so actually in 6 weeks to come, I'm going to embark on my next world ride because after I came back from Global Dream Ride, I think I cannot live a normal life anymore. that one year of Global Dream Ride has changed me in so many ways that I think that okay, I cannot work 9 to 5 anymore. I want to be a full-time nomad, so I opt for an early retirement. So next will be I'm going to do another world ride, but this time I'm going to touch all 7 continents of the world.
Oh my goodness! So how have you been preparing for this? First of all, the last ride took a year. And how long do you think this ride will take?
Okay, since I don't have any more restriction on time and I've got a little bit money now compared to last time. Well, last time I survived even though with very low fund. Now I've got my pension, so I don't have to worry so much. So I didn't put any time frame this time.
So you're just gonna take your time.
Yeah, take my time. I just follow my heart.
And have you plotted a route?
Yes, I have plotted the route. Yeah.
Wow, amazing. So tell us, Anita, how do we keep up to date with where you are and you know what you're going through in all your experiences?
Okay, so well, people out there, if you want to follow my story, my next Global Dream Ride 2, you can follow me on Facebook. My name is Anita Yusof, Anita Yusof, and also on my Instagram, GDR, which stands for Global Dream Ride, GDR Anita Yusof.
All right, we'll flash those links there on the screen for you. Anita, it's been such a pleasure talking to you. You have been such an inspiration to me today.
Thank you.
That's all the time we have on The Future is Female. I will be back with you same time next week, speaking to other inspiring women. Make sure you catch me then. See you. Thank you so much.
Wow.